Okay, these are your notes for your Ohm's law calculations. Please take notes with me as we go through this. Okay, so Ohm's law states that the resistance in a circle, the resistance in a circuit is equal to the voltage divided by the current. Okay, so your instructions, watch the video. This is this video right now. Take notes over the formula. Okay, and so basically, this is another one of those triangle formulas. Okay, so I'm going to write that triangle out. Okay, and on the top of the triangle, we have our voltage. We have our current, which is going to be represented by the letter I, and we have our resistance, which is the R. Okay, so if we want to find the voltage, we're going to cover that up in our formula. Our voltage is going to equal our current times our resistance. So that's our I times our R. Okay, we draw this triangle out one more time. Our voltage, our current, our resistance. If we are trying to find our current, we cover that up. That's going to equal our voltage divided by our resistance. So our current equals our voltage divided by our resistance. And then finally, I'm going to do this one last time so you can see how this triangle works. Okay, if I'm trying to calculate resistance, if I cover this up, resistance equals my voltage divided by my current. Okay, so these are the three formulas that we will use for our calculations today. Okay, and so our measurements, I wanted you to fill in this table with me so you kind of know what we're doing. So measurement, what are we measuring? That has a unit of ohms. That would be our resistance. So fill the table in with me. Our resistance, our unit is ohms. Our symbol is, this is the symbol for ohms, okay? When we use it in the formula up here though, this one is going to go in for R, okay? The next one, the symbol is V, that would be our voltage. Okay, our unit is volts. And we write that as a V. So that would go for both our units and the symbol in the formula. And finally, we have the current. Our current is measured in amps. Okay, so that's the unit we want on our current. The symbol for amps is going to be A, but in our formula, the symbol for the current is going to be I. Okay, and so this should set us up to be able to do these problems. Okay, so practice problems. When we do this, remember we have to underline the question, write out our variables, our formula, show our work. Okay, so the first one, we are trying to find our voltage. So our variables basically written out for us. Our current is 5 amps. Our resistance is 3 ohms, and we are looking for our voltage. Okay, so now we need to look up at our formulas. Which formula are we going to use? We need the V by itself, so we're going to use this formula. So our voltage equals our current times our resistance. Our voltage is going to equal our 5 amps times our 3 ohms, and we end up with 15 volts. Okay, so now we need to check for significant figures. This one has one significant figure. This has one significant figure. So our answer has to have one significant figure. So our answer, since this is a 5, that's going to round this up to a 2. So our answer will be 20 volts. Okay, the next one. Given the current is 5 amps and the volts is 10 volts, what is the resistance? So that's what we're looking for. So now we need to write down our variables. Our current is 5 amps. Our voltage is 10 volts, and we don't know what the resistance is. Okay, so we need to figure out which formula do we need to use. The R has the question mark on it, so we want to use the formula where the R is all by itself. So resistance equals R volts divided by our current. So that's the formula we're going to use. Resistance equals R volts divided by our current. Then we're just going to plug these numbers in. Resistance equals 10 volts divided by 5 amps. 10 divided by 5 is going to equal 2. And our unit are the ohms, right? So 2 ohms. We need to check for sig figs. This has 1 sig fig. That has 1 sig fig, 1 sig fig. So they all have 1 sig fig. So our answer is 2 ohms. Okay, finally the last one. What is the current? Okay, so we've got to write our formula, our variables. So our resistance is 4 ohms. Our volts is 8 volts. And we are looking for our current. So we need to figure out which formula we need to use at top. We use the one where what we're looking for, the question mark, is all by itself. Okay, so our question mark is for our current. So we're going to use this formula because that current is by itself. So our current equals our volts divided by our resistance. So we're going to put this formula down here. Our volts divided by our resistance. Then we're going to plug our numbers in. Our current is going to equal 8 volts divided by 4 ohms. 8 divided by 4 gives us 2 amps. Okay, so let's check. This has 1 significant figure, 1 significant figure, 1 significant figure. So our answer needs to have 1 significant figure, and our answer is 2 amps. Okay, so these are the formulas you need to use. These are those measurements in our units. And so now that you know how to do each one, you need to finish these practice problems. So make sure you're following all these steps for the practice problems. You need to underline the question. You need to write out all the variables. You need to write your formula, put your numbers into the formula, solve the equation, check for sig figs, make sure that you have the label on it.